Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we're looking at Muldrotha the Gravetide. So this is a Sultai value combo commander, but I think it's a little bit interesting than just generic good stuff commanders because of the specific unique ability that it has. So it is a 6 mana 6/6, and it says during each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. So if you have an enchantment in your graveyard, you can cast that. If you have an artifact in your graveyard, you can cast that. One of each type. So you can use this either to generate combos that involve looping things, or just to have a general value game plan by being able to cast up to usually 5 different cards from your graveyard. So obviously this works great with fetch lands or just any other things that get put into the graveyard, anything with a sack ability like Lotus Petal and whatnot. But it can also just do combos. So before we get to that, typical pretty stock card draw spells, along with Skull Clamp being particularly important for putting creatures into our graveyard that we can then recast with Muldrotha. Creatures like Eternal Witness, which are going to be relevant. We've got some counter spells, we've got some fast mana, pretty stock Sultai lands, a little bit of protection, a whole bunch of ramp. More important than usual because Muldrotha is 6 mana, so cards like Grim Monolith and Mana Vault are going to get more utility than normal. Also, cards like Sakura Tribe Elder, again, anything that can sack itself and come back is relevant, such as Haywire Might, Seal of Primordium. We can also like channel these lands into our graveyard and then just play them from the graveyard. And then a little bit of stacks cards in the black colors, Sweeper, Psych Rift. Whole bunch of tutors. We do have combos that involve creatures, so creature-related tutors like Chord, Eldritch Evolution, etc. are more valuable than normal. So then what do we got in the combo section? Well, obviously Console Oracle, because why not? We also have the ability to use Hermit Druid. So obviously the Hermit Druid is not viable if you have the basic lands in the deck, right? So if you want to play cards like Sakura Tribe Elder, then you cannot also have the basic lands with Hermit Druid as well. So you got to pick one or the other. But if you do choose to use Hermit Druid and have no basic lands in your deck, you can use Hermit Druid to mill over your entire deck. And then you can use some combination of creatures that come back from the graveyard for free. So things like Narcomoeba, Bloodghast, or maybe if you've got an extra mono lying around, you can unearth Fate Stitcher. And then since you've got Hermit Druid plus presumably at least 2 of these other creatures, you can cast Dread Return from the graveyard by sacking 3 creatures and then just Dread Return Oracle to win the game. So then apart from the Dread Return stuff and the Oracle combos, you can also win by essentially resetting the 1 card of each type per turn ability on Muldrotha by sacking and reanimating it or cloning it. So for example, let's say you play a Phantasmal Image, right? It can even be you're casting Phantasmal Image from your graveyard using Muldrotha. So Phantasmal Image will enter as a copy of Muldrotha. You legend rule out the original Muldrotha. Now you've got a Phantasmal Image, and the Phantasmal Image doesn't have any of the restrictions of the first Muldrotha, so now you can cast 1 card of each type. So then let's say you cast Dance of the Dead or Animate Dead from your graveyard, and you reanimate the original Muldrotha. Now that new Muldrotha comes in, you legend rule out the Phantasmal Image. Now you can cast the Phantasmal Image from your graveyard again using the Muldrotha, and as long as you can generate enough mana to keep doing this, you can either generate infinite mana if you're generating more mana than it takes to do this, or you can just keep recasting these over and over and over, which is infinite ETB and death triggers and cast triggers. So this works with any clones, so things like Phantasmal Image, Flesh Duplicate. It works with any reanimation spells, Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Kaya's Ghost Form. Displacer Kitten will also blink the Muldrotha, so it can effectively be the same thing. Or Viscera Seer, if you can sack the Muldrotha and then reanimate it. You can also do things like cast Animate Dead and then hold priority with Animate Dead on the stack and then sack the Muldrotha to Viscera Seer, and then when the Animate Dead hits the field, it reanimates the Muldrotha, and you get to keep doing that over and over. So you're going to want sack outlets and other ways of generating mana, so of course Ashnod's Altar and Phyrexian Altar are going to be a part of those combo packages. And so the way that you generate infinite mana doing this is you can use, of course, Ashnod's Altar and Phyrexian Altar, but you can also use Lotus Petal, and then you can keep casting Lotus Petal. So every instance of Muldrotha and either reanimating it or cloning it is going to be an additional Lotus Petal. So that is also ways that you can get ahead. Additionally, Jeweled Lotus can sub in because you can just cast the Muldrotha from your graveyard, although that does mean you need another 3 mana in addition to the Jeweled Lotus. But there's various combinations, primarily involving Lotus Petal and then any two of any combination of Sack Outlet and or Clone and or Reanimate spell and or Blink effect. So once again, you can either just play a value game plan by continuing to bring stuff back like E-Witness and whatnot to just keep drawing more cards and getting more things, or you can try to assemble one of these combos, again, either Console Oracle or milling your whole deck with Hermit Druid and then Dread returning back, usually Thassa's Oracle, or setting up one of these loops to generate infinite mana to then go find another combo or just find some other thing that you need. And yeah, that is Muldrotha the Gravetide.